So I'm so excited. What do you ask me?
So yeah, my name's Jeff. First of all,
Jeff.
Jeff.
Yeah, my name's Alaittan.
Alaittan?
Yeah.
How do you spell that?
Alaittan. Alaittin.
Alaittin. Alaittin. So not like Aladdin, like Aladdin's.
Yeah, it's Arabic version. My name.
Really?
But yeah.
Okay.
In Turkish,
which is probably a common common name.
Probably it means the person who deals with things about religion.
Oh, okay. Really? Okay. Like a teacher?
Deen means religion. Deen. Aladdin, the person who deals with religion.
Okay. So
that's why it's a common name in Islam.
Okay.
In Middle East.
So I'll start by saying Alaittan was. It is on the red light.
Okay,
so that you were just a little worried about your English. So I'm sure the audience. I don't have much of an audience, so not too many people watch these. But
so how many followers do you have?
I have a lot of followers, but for every video, maybe only 20 or 30 views. So yeah, it's up to 300 followers or something like that, which is not a lot, but so and a lot of the people I think that are followers probably were people I talked to, you know, and then now they're on the channel, so they followed it. But, so my question is, what do you think happens after this life, after we die?
After this life?
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know the answer of this question. And actually, I'm not trying to give an answer to this question. I don't know, and
okay.
Yeah, that's all.
Now, do you have any? So, would you say it's that you don't know, but you have beliefs about it? Like there's a difference.
I don't have any religion. I don't believe anything. Actually, that because I don't know which one is true. Yeah, that's why I don't believe, and I'm not trying to give an answer to this question.
That's fine.
I'm waiting here.
Yeah.
And maybe someday, maybe somebody finds an answer, then I can start to believe.
Yeah. Do you have a religious background? Like
yeah, of course. My parents are
Muslim. Yeah. And I would imagine they're not too happy that you don't have beliefs.
Yeah, actually, at the beginning, you're right. Yeah.
Did they ask you about it or talk to you about it?
They were not happy at the beginning, but nowadays they don't think about that too much.
Okay. And when so would you say you had doubts about you had doubts, or are you just not sure what to believe? I guess is the way to put it.
Actually, my point in life is that as a mathematician, I can deal with the question that I can give an answer.
Okay.
So if I cannot give an answer, what can I do?
Yeah.
Actually, I'm not choosing to believe to something.
Yeah. When I'm not a mathematician, but I did when I took math in high school. When I got into, where is it when you start to get into like algorithms?
What?
Algorithms.
Yeah.
What is that? Like trigonometry or
algorithms?
Algebra 2?
It's not math. Algebra. Algebra. We can say algebra.
Yeah. Yeah. So I always liked geometry because you can have proofs and you can figure things out according to logic and you can have answers, right? And I liked simple math, but then when I got into logs and sines and cosines, is that?
Trigonometry, yes, you're right.
Yeah. And all of a sudden it was like there is no answer, there's a range of possible answers, right? And so all of a sudden I didn't like math because I didn't have answers. See what I'm saying?
No.
Like, are you at a level?
Why didn't you have an answer?
I felt like since there's not like one answer, there's a whole range of things that could be answers, or maybe a probability of the correct answer. I felt like it wasn't so absolute and it wasn't so sure, But I think the reason I bring that up is because I think what you were telling me is you're a mathematician, and so when it comes to matters of, say, religion or faith, you don't like it because there's no set answers that you can prove, right?
No, I'm not saying I don't like.
Oh, okay.
Actually, you know,
Maybe I'm just assuming.
no, I don't have any idea about it. Actually, I'm choosing not to have an idea about that.
Yeah.
Because you know, I have read lots of things about religions, and I couldn't find an exact answer. So
Okay.
you can believe Islam,
Yeah.
and you can believe your religion. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And you can believe.
I'm Christian.
Yeah,
like
you can
Christian.
believe Christians. Actually, all of them actually comes from maybe 100 years ago, from 1,000 years ago.
Mhm.
And you can believe all of them. All of them make sense
Yeah.
in general, actually. But the problem about the religions, you want to believe something, and the problem is to need to believe something. If you need to believe some things, you can believe any one of them.
Yeah.
But I'm not choosing.
How do you choose which one?
Yeah, I'm not choosing to believe.
Yeah.
That's the point, you know.
Yeah.
It's not about the religions. You know, you can choose. If you need to believe something,
Yeah.
you can choose one of them, and you can feel better.
Yeah.
But you know, believing to something does not make me better. Does not
Yeah.
give me feel
Yeah.
good feels. You know?
Do you feel like you will come to some kind of a belief later in life? Like right now, you're not quite sure what to believe, but you think you'll ever will? Like, I guess what I'm asking is, are you, or what I'd like to know is, are you continuing to search? So what I hear you
No,
saying
I'm
is,
done. No, I'm done.
you're done,
Yeah,
done
I'm
searching. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so some people they say, well, I don't believe in God, I'm an atheist. Would you say you're an atheist at this point?
That's another choice.
Yeah, it
I'm
is.
saying I don't have any
Yeah.
choice.
That's one among many
Yeah,
choices,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, you know, like another term is agnostic, which means I
Yeah,
don't,
maybe
I don't know.
that's the closest one to me.
Yeah.
Well,
And
I don't know.
agnostic actually means its root word is ignorant,
Yeah.
which you know, no one wants to be ignorant, but if it's something that we can't prove, then maybe it's the smart thing is to say, I'm ignorant, you know,
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah.
you know. Do you think? I forgot the trains are so loud here. I was wondering, why aren't there very many people inside?
What do you say? Sorry.
Why aren't there very many people inside? It's so-
I don't think there are lots of people.
Is this spring break?
Yeah, spring break.
Oh, okay. So mainly just international students around here, right?
Yeah, the dormitory students and international
Okay.
students.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to come here all the time and go inside, and there was
Mhm.
all sorts of people to talk to, and
But in general, Saturdays and Sundays, you cannot see many people here.
it's pretty quiet
Yeah.
anyway. Okay. So would you say that did you ever believe in God or Allah as
Yeah,
a,
in my
as a
childhood,
Muslim? Yeah.
I was believing God, of course.
Yeah.
But you know, just because my parents are Muslim people,
Yeah.
you know, that's why I was.
They raised you up
believing,
in yeah.
But after, I don't know, after probably 18, my 18th, 19th, I started thinking about religions,
Yeah.
and I started to read something.
Was it like things you read on the internet or whatever?
Yeah. And I saw all religions, Islam, Christian, and the other ones,
Yeah.
actually are saying the same thing.
Yeah.
They are coming from the same region of the world,
Uh-huh.
and all of them are saying same thing.
Yeah.
And actually, I saw, in general, as a person in that world, you can choose to believe something
Yeah.
because you cannot find a correct proof,
Yeah.
or you can actually you don't choose to believe something.
Yeah.
Actually, we have definitely two paths,
Yeah.
and I choose to wait in the middle of these two paths. you know.
Sure.
That's my point.
Yeah. And so for me, as a Christian, I've had personal experiences that have led me to my faith. But I really believe that if that hadn't happened, that I'd be in the same boat as you. I would, I think it's the smart thing is to say, you know what, I don't know, and how do I choose, you know? But at the same time, we know we're all going to die someday.
Yeah. Are you worried
So that's
about that?
that's an absolute,
Yeah.
right? I don't worry about it as a Christian, but if, I guess, I like life, I would want to live forever, you know, which is a natural desire, I think. No one wants to die, right? So, and pretty much most religions say that there's some kind of an eternal, like a spiritual eternity after this. So if most of the people of the world believe that, you know, I mean, it's definitely a possibility, especially if I don't know, you know. So why wouldn't I, especially because I'll spend most of my existence in eternity and not here. This will be just like a snap of a finger, you know, a very brief time. I think it would be good to think about it and prepare for that time, you know?
Yeah, that's what I
said. For that
say.
Possibility. So I think if I were you, and you know, like, or if I had not experienced what I've experienced as a Christian, I would say, I don't know, but I want to know, and I'm gonna keep studying, you know, the different religions and find out what's out there. And
so why do you want to know? Why do you want to know?
Just because, you know, like, do you ever, like, you're studying, you're in your doctor's program. I imagine you have a future plan for a certain career, you know.
Ah, okay.
So it's like planning for the future. I mean, that's part of it. Is planning. You know, it's like thinking what's going to happen in the future and trying to be ready for it. You know, only it's more on a long term. Like, even after I die, where will I be? You know.
So you're defining a future for you after dying.
Well, that's part of it, yeah. The eternal future. So, yeah, I mean, it's natural. I think it's a natural part of being human is to want to, you know, to have questions about eternity and what happens. Now, when you say most religions, well, you were saying they come from the same region. Are you saying that, like, say, Judaism,
Middle East, yeah, all of it, yeah.
Judaism, Islam, and
four big
Christianity?
religions,
Well, then what? Hinduism, or
no. Actually, I mean, you know, some religions actually have some books. I'm talking about these religions.
Yeah.
Four big religions: Jewish, Christians, and Muslims. And what was the other one? I don't remember. But I'm talking about these three religions.
Okay.
Yeah, three big religions.
The three Abrahamic. You know, we have Abraham as what we have in common.
Yeah.
You know. Do you feel like they all teach the same thing?
I mean, no. Actually, in summary, all of them say, be a good person, don't kill anybody, don't steal. Same story, you know. Same good things.
So be a good person in this life and have a good next life.
After this life, Actually, you know, in Islam, actually they accept your religion. Because you know, Islam came after Christians.
Yeah.
And they accept Christians' beliefs and
because they're all people of the book. Right?
Yeah. And there are lots of things about Christians and Jewish people in Quran.
Yeah.
And Islam says everything what you say, and I don't know actually. I don't know what's the difference between Islam and Christian people, but I mean, all of them says the same thing, same good things. I mean,
in general, yeah. I think most really strong Muslims would want Christians to become Muslim and Jews to become Muslim, and probably
they have the same traditions.
Yeah.
Some common traditions.
Yeah.
Because of they are coming from same religion.
Yeah. Yeah. The only so to me the difference between Islam and say Christianity would be like the main difference. Like obviously they have different traditions and different customs. It's a different culture, right? But the main like religious difference is a disagreement over who is Jesus. Is he just a person, or is he God? And that's pretty important for Christians. I don't know if you know why.
You know, even in Islam, people actually have different beliefs. You know, some of them accept Muhammad. Do you know Muhammad?
Yeah.
Actually, all of them except Muhammad. But after Muhammad, there are some actually. There were some people after Muhammad, and some of people believe some of them, and some of people.
Did he pass his authority down through his family?
If you go deep, you will see that actually they have.
Yeah, and even with Christians,
groups.
There's a question of like who succeeded Jesus. Was it through Peter and the Catholic Church, or so? Yeah, those are questions. Within the religion.
But I don't know if it is important,
Yeah.
for Christians or Muslims. So you can choose Isa. We say Isa, by the way, for Jesus.
Oh, okay.
You can choose Jesus. You can choose Muhammad. You can choose the other one. But in summary, consequent. Oh my God, what's that? In summary, all of them say some good things.
Yeah. Do you know why Christians believe? Are pretty adamant. I don't know if you know what that word. Like we insist that Jesus must be the Son of God.
Yeah.
Do you know why? Because if that issue could be solved and we could work it out with Muslims, we'd get along a lot better. but yeah, it's hard for Christians. Well, Christians can't be Christians if they believe Jesus is just a prophet or a person that God created, and that at some point back in time Jesus didn't exist, but now he exists because God made him. So we would say no, Jesus is part of God. He's like the creator, just like God the Father, God the Son, and the Holy Spirit. We believe. So it's pretty important to us that we hold on to that truth. Do you know why that is?
I don't know.
Can I explain it to you?
Sure.
So it has to do with our belief that God is absolutely perfect and holy in every way and great. Like there is no limit to God's greatness is infinite. Being a mathematician,
that's
you're
true
familiar
for all
with
religions.
Yeah. So in most religions, so the problem is we all sin, we all break God's laws, right? So all people have been given a conscience, and we know right from wrong in general, and the problem, our common problem that we all share, is that we break it, right? So if God is perfect and holy and perfect in every way, when I sin, when I break his laws, I'm not just sinning against the person. Maybe I steal from someone, or maybe I lie to someone, but I'm also sinning against God. Primarily, I'm sinning against God, right? So most religions teach that in some way you can make up for the bad things you've done by maybe doing some good things, right? So maybe, like if it's a balance scale, maybe here's my bad things, well, maybe my good things can outweigh it, and I can go to heaven, right? But for Christians, we don't believe. So in two ways, we don't believe that works. One is that when we do good things, we're doing it. We should do that. We should do good anyway, just because it's the right thing to do. And so I'm not doing God any favors. I'm not doing myself any favors.
When do you go to heaven?
Huh?
When do you go heaven?
If I do enough good.
So
Well, when let's say I do bad things and I do good things, right? Well, the good things can't outweigh the bad things on my scale, because the good things I should do anyway. So God doesn't owe me anything because I'm doing good. He gave me my health and my wealth and my brain and everything about me, and I'm only using it in a way to honor God and live for God and live out the way he made me, right? So I can't use it to balance out the scale. And then the bad things, like I say, when I do those bad things, if I lie or if I use God's name disrespectfully, or Jesus said, you shall not murder, but then even if I call someone a bad name in anger, it's like I'm murdering with my words. Or he said, don't commit adultery, which is sex outside of marriage, but then he said, don't even look with lust, because if you do that, you're committing adultery in your heart. So if I've broken any of those commandments, I'm sinning against God, and there's nothing I could do that could ever pay for that. And so God is, yes, we believe God is loving. He's perfectly loving. And so he, with his love, maybe he would forgive me and allow me mercy. But then we also believe he's perfectly just, which means there must be a punishment for sin. Now, other religions teach that God is loving, but you have to do some good things to kind of earn God's mercy.
So even you don't do any good things, you can go to heaven.
No. So what this leaves me with, I can't use this to pay for my bad, and the bad is really bad. That means that if the bad news is I can't go to heaven, absolutely can't go to heaven. I will go to hell, and that's what I deserve. So as a Christian, I do believe that if I die, and we believe Muslims believe in Judgment Day too, right? So as Christians, we believe, the Bible teaches there's a Judgment Day and God is our judge. So would I be guilty or innocent standing before God? I would be guilty as charged and not deserving of heaven. I would end up going to hell. And so so God in his justice, his perfect justice, says there must be a punishment, and that punishment would be hell. But then God in his love, his perfect love, says, I'm willing to allow there to be a sacrifice in your place for your sins, right? Now here's why Christians believe that Jesus is the Son of God and not, like on a level with God and not just a man. So we know Jesus, we believe Jesus died on the cross. I know Muslims don't believe, they believe that Judah or something. Yeah. So that's the other thing, is we got to believe, Jesus died on the cross, like it's written in the Bible. So
actually Muslims don't say.
I think they believe Judah did, or somebody went in his place.
Muslims don't say Jesus is the Son of God.
Right. Yeah. So if Jesus was not the Son of God, if he was just a very holy person but still a person, then if he died in my place, that's just one person dying for another person. Could his death pay for the sins of everybody who trusts him? And we would say no, because it's just a created being. He has finite value. He's not on a level with God. It's like God, creating something and then making it pay for our sins. It just, but what we do believe is that God took human form. God himself took human form and died in our place. And because he's God, because he's on a level with God, he's the creator and not the creation, he has infinite worth and value. And so, got to do the math. If my sins have infinite offense against God, because God is infinitely holy, then the only sacrifice that could substitute in for the punishment I deserve would be an infinite God. And so, I'm trying to put it in math terms.
Okay, I see. No problem.
Just to say, and then like substituting, so it's like an infinite offense against God and can only be paid for by an infinitely worthy sacrifice, or an infinite time in hell, which is, not something I would wish upon anybody, So as Christians, we would love, anyone we talk to. I would love for you to know that you can be forgiven and that you can know that you're going to heaven when you die.
Yeah, actually, that's true for all the religions.
Yeah. Well, except, so I would put, there's different ways of looking at it, but if you look at all the different religions of the world, and actually this includes Christianity, because a lot of, like every major religion has people that grow up in the religion and don't really even study it or don't even know what they believe. They just, it's what my family grew up in.
Yeah.
So it's kind of our human nature to think, well, if I'm a good person, I'll get rewarded, and I deserve my reward after I die. I'll go to heaven if I'm a good person, So a lot of people who go to church and call themselves Christians will say, yeah, in Christianity is the same as other religion. Just do good and it'll all come out good in the end, right? But for those who actually read the Bible, they'll realize that that's not what the Bible teaches. That it teaches that no, we are sinners, we deserve to go to hell, but the good news is we have a Savior. Jesus saved us from the consequences of our sins, and so all the other religions basically, I believe, have a lot in common. They basically all teach that if you do certain religious activities, or if you if you take care of the poor, or even atheists that don't believe in God, kind of have this idea, they won't admit it, but it's like, well, if I die and there is a God, just in case, I want to be a good person so that at least maybe I'll go, I'll go to heaven. But they'll never admit that they even think that way. But there's a saying that says there's no atheists in foxholes. In other words, like, once they're facing death, they'll believe that, or at least they'll want to live in a way that in case God does exist, maybe then I'll be okay, right? But so I've had a lot of atheists tell me, well, I don't need a punishment or a reward to be a good person. I'm just a good person, right? And so
you're saying it's not enough to be a good person for you?
Well, so I would say that, because have you ever told a lie?
Sure, of course.
Okay. Broken any of the commandments? Have you ever stolen anything?
Yeah, like every human.
Yeah. So I can't go back. You can't go back and undo what you did. So you're already guilty, and when you did it, you knew it was wrong when you did it, right? So can we be? So maybe we could be a good person compared to other people that we can think of. Like, we read the newspaper and there's a serial killer, and it's like, well, I'm better than him, right? But we can't be good in comparison to God's standard, because, like I was saying, God is holy. He's infinitely holy. Like, we would have to be perfect. And if we've already sinned, we're not perfect. We can't go back and undo that, We can't pay for it with good things we should do anyway. So would I say that a good person can go to heaven? I guess I would say that, but there are no good people. See what I'm saying? It's like we're all sinful people, and because we're all sinful people, we need to be saved.
So what's the key? What's the key of heaven?
The key?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I mean, I would say Jesus is the key, and putting our trust in Him.
But what's the logical explanation of that? Okay, Jesus is the key of heaven, but what's the logical, according to the Bible?
So logically speaking, I would say there was a historical, like Jesus 2,000 years ago died on the cross in my place and in your place. And what makes it logical would be that God, so at the same time God is loving and merciful. Well, at the same time God is, we'll say, just. He's like the just judge who makes sure there's a punishment for sin. But we also believe God is loving and kind and merciful, right? So God sacrificed His own Son to die for us, so that God is both just, and He's the just judge and the one who justifies us at the same time. So here's where I would say that's more logical than most religions. Most religions would say, well, God is loving, but he doesn't just let everyone go to heaven because we've sinned, and so there has to be consequences for that. And God is just, so he makes sure the consequence is paid, but maybe the consequence isn't so bad, so God is only like halfway just. And then he's only halfway loving because he's loving, but he still has a requirement for good behavior, and he's just, but he still allows you to go to heaven even though what you've done is worse than what we would never deserve heaven. We could never pay for it. And so what I would say is not the key, or what is not logical with that, is that now God has to be kind of like halfway loving and halfway just. But we would believe God is perfect in every way, So how can God be perfectly loving and perfectly just at the same time? That's where Jesus, in Jesus we see God being loving. He loves us, and he's sacrificing, a part of himself. And he's just. He's the perfect judge, because there is a huge penalty for sin. There's a punishment for sin. So to me it makes a lot of common sense, because God doesn't have to compromise any part of his being to do that. Yeah, it sounds like your main issue with religion is it just doesn't seem like it's maybe sensible or logical.
No, actually, when I think about my childhood, I remember, I was looking for something in order to make myself happy, believing to something, or but after a while, I started to not to need a belief. How can I give him a second? Believing to something makes you happy.
Yeah.
In your childhood, you first learn this reality. Actually, then when you start to read something, you see that you can choose not to believe to something.
Yeah.
And if you choose that, after a while, you will see that. So you don't need to believe to something. Actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can feel yourself better without believing anything, and you don't need to believe to something. And then I choose to wait in the middle of these two paths, and I realized that I'm happy at that point, and I don't need to believe anything. That's my point. Actually, I'm not refusing these religions.
Yeah.
They can be true.
Yeah.
Actually, you cannot prove your religion is true, but you are choosing to believe that religion, and that makes you happy. You feel better. That's the only point for religions. For my parents,
Personal happiness.
Yeah. Actually, that's logical perspective, logical view of religions. But some people, as you say, rise up in a society with some religions.
Yeah.
They don't think about religions too much. They don't read anything about it.
Yeah.
And there is no logical point for these people.
Yeah.
That they learned to believe to something. That's all.
Well, maybe they have something else that they're living for, and that's all they're thinking about.
Yeah, and probably they cannot leave religion because they don't know. Because after refusing religions, you will have thousands of questions.
Yeah.
You will lose all answers. So thousands of questions will make you really bad.
Oh, you just be so confused.
You don't have answers. That's the biggest problem of refusing religions.
Yeah.
And in my childhood, I remember I had lots of these kind of problems.
Yeah.
When I actually when I choose not to believe something, I remember I couldn't answer some of questions,
Yeah.
and I was really bad. And then I started to think, actually, I don't have to answer them.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, in Islam, you're not really encouraged to ask questions, right?
Can you say it again?
You're not really the leaders of the religion, maybe even parents, don't really encourage you to ask questions about the religion.
Yeah,
because,
that's true. Yeah.
Because if you ask questions, that kind of shows that you're maybe doubting, or maybe it might cause other people to ask questions. It's like, well, I don't know the answer.
I think that's true for all religions. You cannot ask any question about God.
Yeah.
That's the key point of religion. If you ask a question about God, you are going to doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
To be honest, though, so in Christianity, So I get in these conversations a lot, and a lot of people I talk to are different Christians or have had a church background in different churches. So, like in the Catholic Church, or sometimes in other churches where maybe it seems like everybody around that person believes in that particular religion, then they're not encouraged to ask questions. Mm-hmm. But for me and other people, like my friends and like the people that told us about Jesus, really emphasized it's really good to ask questions. Mm-hmm. Ask, because we believe God will answer. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't believe there's any question that God is afraid of, mm-hmm. of me asking. Mm-hmm. Some people do ask questions just to kind of feed their doubts. It's mm-hmm. like they're trying to prove that it's wrong or not true. But anytime in my experience, because I became a Christian in my teenage years, like 17
really?
years old.
Talk to your parents.
I was still living at home at the time, but I didn't really understand Christianity through my church very well.
So
but I had some adults that told me about, kind of explained it in a way that was simpler, and encouraged me to ask questions. And when I asked the questions,
yeah, actually, if you are not Christian
Uh-huh.
at the first time, and if you are going to be Christian, you need to ask some question to be Christian. That's correct.
Yeah.
But as a Christian,
mm-hmm.
if you start to ask some questions, you start to You start to think about Christianity, your religion,
uh-huh.
and actually you start to go out of religion.
When you were growing up, did you have did you study the Quran with other people?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
So you would read it together?
Yeah.
And
but you need to learn Arabic alphabet.
Yeah.
And actually you don't read the Turkish of Quran in your childhood.
Oh.
That's true for all people.
Arabic is not the language in Turkey?
Even if you have know Arabic, you cannot understand the language of what it means. And people in general, read Quran without understanding anything.
Okay.
That's the problem of Islam.
Maybe a difference is, so in Christianity, the Bible is written in our, in the language of most people, and so.
They assign a value being Arabic in Arabic language.
Yeah. So one of the things that I started to do actually even before I was a Christian, was I would go to Bible studies. Mm-hmm. And so a Bible study was not sit and read the Bible and someone teaches you. It's sit and read the Bible and one person leads the group, but everyone's asking questions, and they're encouraged to ask questions like, what does that mean? And what do these verses mean? Mm-hmm. And so so they really encouraged us to ask a lot of questions and try to get our answers from the Bible, mm-hmm. but to better understand it. Mm-hmm. So
that's good.
Yeah, and it was like I say, written in our own language, so it was natural to ask
another
questions.
clever way, Think about it, and after thinking about it, you choose Christian to be Christian.
Yeah,
that's a clever way.
Yeah, and then since
you don't forbid anything.
No, yeah, people were encouraged to ask questions, and in my experience, I've gotten answers to all the questions I've ever had, but not always right when I wanted it. So sometimes the questions or the answers came slowly. I sometimes as I matured and had a better understanding of different parts of the Bible, and there's some things in the Bible that are hard to believe. It's like, why would God do that or this? And I didn't always know right away. And so I had to. One of the things that I had to do was kind of learn to give the Bible the benefit of the doubt. So in other words, to say, well, I don't understand what I'm reading here, but I trust that someday I will. And it's always I've always,
because you want to believe. That's the key.
Yeah.
You need,
I mean, ultimately, yes, I do want to believe that I'm. To me, the great reward of my faith is to be with God, to be with my Creator. So it's not to go to heaven and be happy, or I think that will come with it. But I mean, really, what the Bible says is that we're all going to live forever. It's just that some of us will live with God in a good relationship with our Creator, with God, and some of us will be in punishment, and not in a right relationship with God. And but it's saying that God is the key. He's the one who has made it possible for us to have that good relationship with God through Jesus and what He did on the cross. Because the thing that I feel like, so religion, when we think of the word religion, we think of like a lot of rules and a lot of like maybe rituals and traditions, and Christianity to me is more like a relationship with God, and that relationship was broken back in, you know the story of Adam and Eve, and then so man, the original man, rebelled against God and went his own way, and he realized he was naked and exposed, and God could see him for everything, everything that he had done, and he went and hid, and so the relationship, the closeness with his Creator, with God, was broken at that time, and God's the one who went seeking after him and clothed him. And but then he cast him out of the garden, and so we've been out, not in a right relationship with God ever since, and so when we're born, it's our natural inclination is to sin and lie and be mean and rebel against God's rules. And that means we're not in the thing that sin does to us is it makes us so that we can't have that close relationship with God. And so God is the one who, again, sought us out and died for us in our place, and he's the one who gave me my faith. I can't say that I'm a Christian because I'm really smart and I figured it out, then I would be all proud of myself. Or I can't say I'm a Christian because I'm so religious and faithful, because then I'd be proud of myself, right? I have to, it's a humbling thing. I have to say, no, I don't deserve to be a Christian. I don't deserve to know that I'm going to heaven. It's nothing that I've done, but it's what Jesus did on the cross, and that's what saves me. And so when I stand before God, whenever anyone stands before God, if we believe in Jesus, we know that He saved us. We couldn't save ourselves. And so we won't be proud, of ourselves. I mean, it's our human nature maybe to be proud, and to want to take all the credit, but it takes, God helps us to be humble. And I know there's a lot of Christians out there that are not acting like they're humble.
Yeah, that's true. That's true for all the religions.
But yeah. And there again, I think a lot of people don't really even understand. They grow up in a religion.
Because being a good person is not about the religion.
No, and I'm very grateful that all the different religions of the world do teach that you should be good and treat others respectfully, and for the most part they do. I think the world would be a much worse place if it wasn't like that. But the fact is, because God is holy, none of us, we're all sinful people. We've all sinned at times. We may try, for the most part, to be good, but we're not. We should be good. That's what we're made to do. There's some Christian groups on this campus. Have you ever thought of
really?
going?
No, I don't know.
Going to one? Yeah, I think how they have clubs and organizations.
Yeah, I saw some students actually.
Yeah.
They were giving some papers to students about that.
Okay.
They were inviting students to something. I remember something about that. But I am done. Really, I'm done about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see your point. I see what you
it's
say.
fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually.
I'm gonna give you. Can I give you a book to read though?
Sure.
Okay. This is pretty interesting. Yeah. So this is. It's called More Than a Carpenter. It's basically like saying where did the Bible come from and who was Jesus and what's the basic Christian message. And I think you might find that interesting.
Okay, I'll try to read that because the English is not hard.
Well, if you're like me, I'm trying to learn Spanish, so I like books in Spanish because then I can practice my Spanish at the same time. But or would you like a shorter book? I have one shorter.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
I can try to learn something, even if
if it's just English.
Okay, thank you.
And then this is my channel right there.
Oh, really? Thank you.
And I actually on that channel.
Are you going to put that video?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll put that on there.